So I remember when we played that concert in the mall in Dallas.
A concert in a mall?
It was insane.
The number of people that showed.
It was more than NSYNC had.
What? That should be on a t-shirt.
It was crazy.
Hey, I'm Joy, and welcome to FFH on the podcast today. Okay, you know them from the 90s and 2000s. Their harmonies filled our radios. They filled my youth group van. And you know songs like One of These Days, Big Fish, I Want to Be Like You. My dad would play that for me in the car. And because of their storytelling and their harmonies, seeing them was this contagious moment of worship and joy. So I'm so excited to catch up with Jeremy and Jennifer. Now, you two are married, right?
Yes.
Somebody asked me if you were siblings, and I was like, we need to define that immediately.
Oh, for sure. Probably the first 5 years, people thought we were siblings.
And the record company wanted that, really.
They didn't want you guys to be married? Is this like a Lucy and Ricky situation?
It was very weird.
Well, it was so Essential was a modern rock label, and it was like Jars of Clay, and so they just didn't.
And we can't remember the other
really
people.
promote the fact that we were married until people
liked it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are cute together.
They're together in
But we
every
look
picture.
a little bit alike.
So
people
look
thought
like
we were
my
brother and
husband.
sister.
It's a problem.
It's weird. Yeah.
They don't, but I think seeing you guys on stage singing worship together is probably more powerful if you're like, I can't believe they can do that and they're married.
Well, I don't know. But I think at first,
Barely.
they just didn't know how to handle it.
Mm-hmm. So did you start during shows being like, and this is my wife, Jennifer, and
He always
introing
did
her?
that.
Yeah, I mean, I never.
He would always say, "This is my wife, and she's older than me." That was his favorite thing to say.
Always.
He
At
still
least
does.
you didn't say my
Even
smoking
when-
hot wife. That's a pet
Sometimes
peeve.
he did.
Why do
Sometimes he
pastors
did.
do this?
I have a pastor husband and he's on a strict, sometimes he calls me my boo from stage and I'm like, I have to leave the church now. Okay, so we're missing two of your bandmates, Michael Boggs,
Michael
who is a
Bryan.
friend of mine, and the other
really?
guy's name is what?
Brian Smith.
The other guy.
I'm so sorry. Brian Smith
gotta
is the
show
only
your
one
cup.
I don't know.
Well, there's no way he would do this.
Oh
That's
my gosh,
what you
no.
said, that he's in the area. I said, why is he not here? And you said he would rather be in a casket than speak at a funeral.
Yes,
sure.
I can't believe he was on stage with you all those years.
Well, playing bass and singing, he was fine. But
If he had to talk, he would do this the entire time.
Wring his hands.
Oh my
she won't
gosh.
talk on stage either.
No.
So we never had that. We never had that weird band thing where everybody wants like
To be the lead.
Mike. Mike is a really good speaker, but he didn't care.
He was just a little.
Jennifer wouldn't talk.
He was a baby at the time.
He was. Jennifer wouldn't talk.
Brian wouldn't talk.
Brian would. So there were times where our shows, we didn't have an intermission. So it'd be like a 2-hour show or whatever.
And you just have to talk for everyone?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't do a lot of talking. But I would tell Brian sometimes, I said, hey, man, if I have to pee or something, you got to talk. And
He's praying against it.
there were a couple of times where I did say,
Where you had the
hey,
stomach bug.
oh, that night I
You
had
performed with the stomach bug?
Heck yes.
This is too much.
So we were in Memphis. I remember this show. And before the show, we were all in the green room, including the production guys. And I'm just laying on the floor. And they're like, this is not looking good. So they said, we're just going to have a bucket for you. And I told her, I said, I'm for sure going to throw up. So
I can't believe you didn't cancel the show, but I
said-
mean, you're the lead. You
I
can't
said,
do
Yeah,
it
we
without
couldn't.
you.
I told her, I said, when I do, you three just play a song that you sing, like play Fly Away or something, and I'll go off stage. And she said, no.
No, he said, and you have to just introduce the song. And I was like, no.
You wouldn't do it for your throwing up husband?
Heck no.
Oh my word. So
Sorry,
what
babe.
happened?
I made it through.
What a miracle of
Yeah,
God.
I made it. I may have thrown
miracle
up
of
an
God.
intermission.
Wild.
I mean, it was one of those like, chills, can't get over it. Like, it was awful.
You're such a professional to work through that. So how many years start to finish was FFH like active and touring?
I'm so bad at this.
Well, FFH started before she and I met. So it was 4 guys.
It was you and one of, 4 of you?
So it was
Yeah.
Brian and I and 2 other guys. And we started right before my 16th birthday.
Yeah, I heard it was a high school band.
Yeah.
Yes, we were at a camp. And I mean, it wasn't good, but we kept playing and kept playing. And then when I was 19, we were kind of foolish time touring. Brian and another guy were still in college, but whenever they weren't, we were just out on the road. One of the guys left, Jennifer joined. So she and I were playing music on our own as a duo.
Before you were even married. Like you just came in
we
as the
did
singer.
before we were married. No. We were playing music together before we were married, but we were dating. And then
She didn't come in as a singer, and then we
were married, and I did merch and ran sound, which is hilarious.
I was hoping that you guys fell in love on the road because I thought that'd be a great Hallmark movie.
No, we met at GMA.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
we met
Yeah.
at a Rich Mullins showcase
Oh, how
Yeah.
wonderful. That's honestly still a good
It's very
story.
cool. Yeah.
at the Cannery in downtown. And she always wanted to move here, St. Louis, Pennsylvania. And so, and I mean, I was fine. I didn't know a ton about the music business. I just wanted to play music. And so we moved here in 95. And when she joined the band,
Got married and moved here.
we were kind of on the fence about like, it wasn't like this planned thing. It was, I mean, we were still just trying to make a go at it.
Yeah, it's hard.
And one of the guys in our band started a family and he was not going to keep doing this. And so Brian and I were like, okay, what if Jennifer joins? And we just merged these things together. Played a show in Westchester, Pennsylvania. She was scared to death.
Oh my gosh. Terrifying.
And we got done and we're like, hey, that kind of worked.
Her sound really does round out what FFH
Right.
means to most of us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so then we started making records. We made an independent record. It was the highest charting independent record in the history of the CCM charts.
Amazing.
Gary Chapman had a countdown show. He played it on that. And then we got a record deal. That was 98. And we toured nonstop until
Yeah.
2002.
Whoa.
2002?
Well, 2003.
No, we toured after that.
Right. 2000. Sorry, we moved to Africa in 2006.
So
Sorry.
probably up until about then.
2006.
Yeah, 2006.
Wow. Honestly, the reason you're on the podcast is because I grew up listening to your music. My dad was a huge fan. My dad was like, one of these days in the car.
Oh, yeah.
And then, oh my word, what's that one song that you start? Okay, you win.
Fly Away.
You got me
Yeah.
daydreaming again. I mean, these are the sounds to my spiritual journey growing up. And you guys were in the soundtrack. And it's so fun to see you in person. So far, everybody's been on camera, like on Zoom and stuff for these interviews. But Jennifer, you're so pretty in person. I'm fangirling.
gosh.
You were the album
you.
covers that I would look at. I remember the one where she's wearing this black dress like to the floor and your hands are behind your back.
Found a place.
Yes, I loved that album cover and I just
They
and I-
stretched that picture. I loved that.
Yes, you looked so elegant the way your dress fell. I was just such a fan. And I saw you guys at Cedarville, Ohio.
Yes, we played there a lot.
I went there. That's ended up being my university
Are
where I
you
got my
serious?
broadcasting degree. Yeah,
Okay,
but my
what-
dad was with
What
me.
years were you there?
I was there 2010. No, I graduated in 2010. So 2006
we
to
knew the
2000.
Purples.
The who?
Dean Purple.
The Dean,
Oh.
Dean Purple.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so we knew his wife.
So is
before
that
she
why you
died.
guys played there?
Well, no, we met them from
Oh,
being
okay.
there. Yeah.
But I remember
But
that
we
show.
played there so much that we ended up rehearsing a tour there. And then we
Amazing.
played the first show of the tour there. They let us have that auditorium.
I'm surprised I didn't get to interview you guys then because that's where I kind of cut my teeth in Christian radio.
Oh, cool.
And Jason from Building 429 was my first interview ever.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
came to do a show and I got on my like Resound radio gear and I went backstage with him. And I wish I'd gotten to do that with you all. But I remember standing there with my dad, watching you guys on the stage. And it was such a memory. So as you guys are singing these songs from your heart and you're watching people sing these lyrics back, tell me what that experience was like to see kids and parents alike singing these songs back to you.
the kid thing didn't click in until we had kids. I feel like now I'm like, oh my gosh, how cool to be able to go somewhere with your kids and, but at the time I didn't get that. We didn't get that. But for him, he wrote most of the songs. So hearing people singing back, I think was a lot. I mean, that's something really important to a songwriter.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, you and I were talking before the podcast. So we just went to see our son play at the Beacon. in
Tell
New
him
York.
about Hutch.
Yeah.
He's
So-
playing with Seth Sleater right
Right.
now. He's
Yes.
on keys.
And so he was out with Seth and Toby Mac this weekend. And so we were up in New York because our daughter had to do some workshop stuff. And so we went to the show, and being in the audience gave me more chills than I think when I was telling you, when you're on stage, you kind of have to be a beat ahead of it, you can't really get wrapped up in a moment.
You can't get lost in it because you'll lose where you are.
Yeah,
You'll lose the timing, the
Yeah.
lyrics.
Right. And so I on the way home, when we landed up, he and I rode back together, and I said, do you feel that? And he said, sorta. And I said, yeah, I get that. Because when you're the one on stage, I don't know that you feel it as much.
But now you get to look back and you're like, oh, that was pretty
Oh my gosh,
amazing.
I'll have people write me and be like, tell me that. And I'm like, what a cool thing to be part of your memory. I mean, that is just so cool and
that
such
you
an
guys
honor.
are the fabric of that. That's what I found is listening to your music. All these lyrics are in there, but I haven't thought about the songs in so long. And then
Right.
when you hear it, it opens up. I'm like, I know all these
Yeah.
words. And it
Yeah.
takes you back to a moment where I'm in the minivan with my dad.
Right.
I'm riding shotgun. It comes on Christian radio. He turns it up. So tell me what it was like the first time you heard your song on the radio. Do you remember
Amazing.
the station and what
Yeah.
you felt?
Yes.
WJTL in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We ran around the house.
Are you
Yes.
serious?
It was crazy. Turned it all the way up.
Yep. They played 3 songs in a row,
Whoa.
and it was great.
Yeah.
I still,
Oh, man.
it doesn't happen much anymore, but WFM used to play us like
Once an hour.
once an hour.
That's right. We did.
Yes, you
And
did.
I would just crank it in my
Yeah.
car. I love
Always.
any
Yeah.
artist who tells you that they're like, nah, that's not true.
There's something so special about it because
Oh
you
my
don't know
gosh.
it's coming.
Right.
It sounds different when it's organic as opposed to somebody just hitting a button and choosing it. You choose the intro time, but you don't know what the DJ is going to say over that ramp up. You don't know how it's going to feel. That it's a surprise to the person in the car, and then they get to feel it. And man, I see it all the time how God brings the specific song somebody needs in the moment
That's
they
so
need
wild.
it. The beauty of radio.
Right.
And I think artists still have that moment. And I would love to know when you guys felt like, oh, this is bigger than us, or we've made it now that this happened. There's probably a lot of moments.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of different ones. I remember when we played that concert in the mall
Dallas.
in Dallas.
Concert in a mall did that for
They
you?
would do those. Well, it was just, we were so new. And we were in Dallas, and this, they would do these mall concerts with the radio station there,
Free.
but it was insane.
The number of people that showed.
It was more than NSYNC had. Yeah,
Yeah.
That should be on a t-shirt.
it was crazy.
We had more people than NSYNC.
And we were brand
We were
new.
babies.
What station was it? Was it KLTY in
Yeah.
Dallas? Yes, they were just a monster.
Yeah.
And John Rivers, the one who was programming there, he loved our stuff. And we got there and we didn't know. There were a couple of different cities. Orlando was like that.
Yeah.
Scott Smith was there, Scott and Lisa in Orlando, and they played us when we were independent.
Wow,
So-
early.
And so did KLTY. Wow. Didn't
it was
they?
crazy.
Yeah,
And
it was-
So we would go to these cities thinking, well, who knows? We'll
Yeah, we
show
were
up.
just independent. I mean, we didn't know what was going on.
It was awesome.
So it just kind of
So we
exploded from there.
we came in there and it was chaos. I mean, it was wild.
It actually, the moment was kind of too big for us.
Yeah. We weren't ready for
I
that.
think this is something we can talk about later, but I'm sure that's part of why. So Jeremy helps artists now. He counsels them that this thing happens where suddenly you're trying to do something so hard. And then I feel like the people I'm getting to talk to on the podcast, it's almost like you get on a ride and then it just goes crazy, faster than you can even keep up with and gets ahead of you. And I'm so curious, I bet the lines when you do get to do meet and greets and people are telling you that you've changed their life. Is there a story that you remember? Because I can't fathom what that must feel like.
I think at the time you're just so tired and there's so
real.
much going on that you don't soak it in, and people tell you that stuff and it means something to you, but it doesn't go very deep.
It doesn't stick because you got another show.
Because you've got to hurry up and move on. Like the meet and greet, you've got to hurry up and get going. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of it didn't. I hate that.
Yeah,
A lot
but
of that, the meet and greet line thing, that kind of stays pretty thin. But we did get some really cool like letters and emails.
Yes.
I mean, I've gotten just recently, just through the Artist Care site, people will find it and send me FFH messages. Like,
Wow.
I mean, we had a guy say that he had left his wife. He was literally driving away from his house, and Undone, one of our songs came on. He pulled over, wept, turned around, went home.
Praise God.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, that stuff does matter. I mean, that's
So
like,
it
okay.
totally matters. It just, I feel like
Hard to
at
remember
the
all
time,
of them.
you don't, and you're young. I mean, we were so young and didn't have, I mean,
I was super young.
Yeah, how
Shut
old were
up.
you guys?
shut up.
I was way young.
Younger than her.
Way young.
Okay, how old were you when you guys signed the record deal?
Oh, my goodness.
Early
Well,
20s?
I was 23, I think, when we signed it.
word.
24, maybe.
So then I would have been 25.
I knew nothing about the world then.
Yeah.
Sure
Neither
thought
did
I
we.
did. Yes, that's a lot to happen
we
to a
didn't have
person.
any clue. And plus,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, that is a little bit kind of part of our journey, is because the first decade of us being married, it was very public. And in the Christian world, it's, that you put your best foot forward, but a lot of times they don't want to. Now, it is different now. There's there's more language for brokenness.
And authenticity is more
Right.
craved because of probably the pendulum swung
Yeah.
back.
I think so. And so that was difficult. When we moved to Africa in 2006, I think we had come to a point where we're like, okay, we got to pick one or the other. It's either going to be this,
yeah, I was
whatever this kind of,
toast.
plastic version, or we have to have a marriage.
I had a guy come up it was a radio function actually, and they were handing out our 8x10s. And in the picture, we're smiling, standing next to, and he came up to me and he showed me the picture and he goes, "Now that's a picture of a good marriage." And I was like, "You have no idea. I'm about ready to kill him."
You're like, as long as he
We are
doesn't
on such thin
talk to
ice.
me or look at me. Yes, it is. But that's not fair. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not
people
a
just-
real version of anybody.
No, and that's how it was. That's how it was, though.
I call it the representative. And this isn't just for artists, but like even in the business world or whatever, you kind of have this, it's almost like you adopt this representative that goes in the room, and it's you, it's still you. But
it's a polished
It's
version.
real thin kind of, and I actually think that there's times where that can serve you because,
Or we wouldn't do it.
well, and you can't
can't-
show everything all the time.
Right.
But if your representative gets a lot of airtime, it's almost like you morph into that and you forget kind of, the essence of who you are. And I feel like that happened to us a little bit.
I
We were
bet.
fortunate in that we had really good counseling from the get-go.
You said that because I wondered if you were filling a hole becoming an artist counselor, but you said there was already one that you guys got. Who introduced you to it?
I don't remember.
I think John Mays probably.
Maybe you probably have Porter's Call. I went to Porter's
I've heard
Call
of it
for
because
years.
it was here in Nashville, right? It was a big
in Franklin.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
still going. It's more. I think it's more. They
Yeah.
work more in the country world now.
But I'm glad that exists
Well, they're
because
funded
it
by
was-
record labels.
it was
So if you have a record
life-changing.
deal-
labels don't want y'all burning out
Right.
or ready to just throw in the towel. And it's a way to keep people healthy. But I'm so curious, looking back now, if you guys could talk to that younger version of yourself that signed the deal that first day, is there something you would say to them that you think would be helpful?
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot I would say, but I don't know if it would be helpful.
I don't know that
You
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
hear
have heard
it.
it. I wouldn't have heard it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I do with artists, so I do long-term spiritual direction. So we usually meet together for 2 hours every 2 weeks or once a month. And I think the walking together over time is the thing that's helpful. I don't know
consistency.
I don't know that you can just be told something.
Right.
We would be asked that a lot. Like if you had one thing you could tell an artist, I'm like, that's not going to help.
Like it's too simple.
Yeah,
Right.
It's more complex.
it is. It's complex, and
And plus, I needed a lot of help to figure out who I was. Even
So true. You guys were trying to figure out who you were while you were on
Yeah.
posters, and people are, taking everything you do and say and applying it to their lives. That's kind of a lot
It's
of pressure.
terrifying. It was I had
Very
one lady
scary.
write me and say, "Can you please?" And I knew her. They'd come to shows a lot, and so I knew them. And she was like, "Can you please mentor my daughter?" And I was like, "Listen,
Ma'am, can you mentor me?
I am such a disaster. You have no idea. Like,
That's crazy.
I was just like, I feel like I'm falling apart. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, I am. You don't
There's
want me.
so much pressure put there, though.
I just was like, I am not what you think I am. Like, I don't know. I just was
probably a little bit of
emotionally,
imposter
I was
syndrome.
just a mess. I just was all over the place, and so I
and
just
it's a fast-paced life that you guys are living.
right.
What would you say was one of your favorite songs that connected with people that you were like, I'm so glad that this is one of the ones that's sticking around? I mean, so many, I can sing it. Come on.
One of these days is always my favorite.
It was?
Oh, I love that song.
I mean, I do too.
I still love that song. I
What
love
about
it.
that when we started dating, I grew up playing piano and drums. So those were my kind of two things. I never picked up a guitar. And we were dating, and Jennifer, she played guitar. She played some fiddle, and she was more in the country music scene. And I said, I think I can play that. Can you teach me some stuff? And so she did. She just taught me some chords.
I caught him like 2 chords.
And
that's how you wrote that song?
He
one of
then
these days is only 2 chords.
The only 2 you knew?
The only 2.
and he
I knew.
made up a third one.
It's
'cause
so
he's
good.
stupid.
That's amazing.
I'm like,
It's
I
really
need
not
someone
that
to tell me
amazing.
exactly what, where. And he was like, oh, he just figured it just made
Music-minded.
sense. It just made sense to him. It didn't make sense to me. Music doesn't make sense to me like that. My son's the same way.
that he just
It
lives it.
just
He can just
sees
do
it.
it.
Just makes sense to him.
I'm so thankful that's a thing. Okay, guys, we do something on the podcast called the time capsule. I'm going to ask you rapid fire questions.
Okay.
It's okay if you have different answers or if you just want to go together. Okay. What song from your catalog would you be fine never performing again?
Big Fish.
Why?
Why
can't
do
stand
you
it?
think?
People were like, that was a VBS theme song for some people.
Oh, I'm
were you
sure.
amazed that
I'm
it just
sure.
got, I mean, it was grabbed. For you guys, that might be the first one that comes up.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. It is. You don't like it. It's too VBS.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how do you feel
Jeremy's
about it?
making a sick face just thinking about it.
No, I don't mind that one as much.
What's another one?
It's got some cheesiness, but there are some lyrics that I
Yeah.
wrote early on that I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know if I'd say that. Like, there's a song on our first record called "I'm All Right." That
That was always hard for me.
Actually.
That was always a hard one for me to
yeah,
sing.
and I'm like, yeah,
I'd
right-
see people in the crowd who I'm like,
You're not all right.
I know that they were struggling. And here I'm singing, I'm all right. And I'm like, you poor people. I know that I don't know. You know what I mean?
It's not your fault though. That was the time. Don't you think that was the time? And now Jelly Roll's making a lot of money singing "I Am Not Okay." And if only you'd done that back then,
Yeah.
that song would have
It
been
would,
such a
no
hit.
one would have liked it
Would
though.
have gone for
They'd
it.
have been like, no, God can make it.
That's
blah,
so
blah,
true.
blah. You know,
Okay, did you ever forget the lyrics live on stage?
all the time.
yeah,
What did you do in those moments? Were you guys able to
We'd
catch
look at each other and be like,
yeah. I mean,
we would just, yeah.
it happened later on when our catalog was bigger, and thankfully the audience knew the songs.
Yeah.
So you just let them sing in
you're
that
like-
moment.
Yeah,
Guys, I really need to hear you right now. Desperately. Who did you grow up listening to?
Oh, well, I grew up listening, Christian wise, Amy Grant, of course.
That is also what a few other artists
I
have said on
mean,
the
Amy
podcast.
Grant was like, I remember seeing her in concert and being like, that is what I want to do. And seeing her at Six Flags in St. Louis, because that's where I grew up, and we would go to all the concerts there. And I have pictures of that show, like from a camera, and being like, okay, I'm cooked. This is it. But I like country music. I grew up listening to country music. My
So who
parents
from
would-
country?
Oh gosh, Patsy. I like old country. Patsy Cline. I was obsessed with Randy Travis, though. I mean,
So sweet.
but my parents would not let us listen to pop music. It was only Christian. But then I was like, well, what are you going to do with this? So I started listening to country, and they didn't know how to handle that.
You're like,
They
it's
didn't have
kind of
any-
Christian.
Yeah,
a little
they
bit.
were like, yeah.
So that's your influence.
was my
a little
rebel.
country.
Yeah, but I was a cowgirl. Like I was a
She has
Total
For those
redneck.
listening, she literally has a bandana
I
tied
do.
around her neck,
That's
and she's
true.
rocking it.
she was the Miss Missouri State Rodeo Queen.
well.
Of course she was. I told you you're stunning. She was a
No.
pageant queen.
No,
of a
no,
rodeo.
no. I did
Horses.
I did one rodeo queen thing, and then you go on then to. It sent you on to the Rodeo USA. But it was like, listen, it was so funny. I mean, it was so cheesy.
You were going to be on stages either way, is what I'm hearing here.
Well,
with a crown or
I
with a
was
guitar.
terrible. I mean, we had to do anyway speeches and impromptu speeches, which
Which we've established you
hilarious.
do not want to speak.
No, it was terrible. But
What
the
was your-
horse
what was
riding
your
is where.
favorite movie?
Shut up. Horse riding was the main thing that I was.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, they asked us rapid fire questions.
Oh.
And they were like, "What's your favorite movie?" It was a panel of judges and me standing there, and I was like, "Backdraft."
What's that movie?
Some stupid,
Exactly.
some stupid movie that I had just seen.
That they'd never heard of before?
No, I had just seen it, and it was the only thing that came to my mind.
Oh,
It was
no.
terrible.
Now we're going to
Terrible.
go watch Backdraft
No,
and figure out what
don't.
she's talking about.
It was a firefighter movie. It didn't. They were like, "What do you like about it?" I'm like,
That I just saw
"That
it.
I just happened to see it last." Yeah.
Okay, who did you grow up listening to? Who's your musical influence?
Billy Joel and Elton John. Those
Wow.
are my two. My parents didn't listen to a lot of Christian music.
Your dad did.
Yeah, but he was like the choir director, so that wasn't.
More for work.
But he listened to Billy a lot, and my mom listened to Elton, and so that's how I learned to play piano with their kind of like fake books.
But who did you listen to, Christian? Because you do know a lot
Amy
of.
Grant.
But you knew like some old.
I liked Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith. The best thing about Amy Grant was
I'm trying to think of the other one.
meeting her, and we don't have a ton of interaction with her, but when we were making a record, she was making a record in the same studio. And I remember how awesome it was to meet somebody and then have them be better in person.
Better than you ever imagined.
Like, it was like, I remember thanking the Lord. Like, I was like, okay, what does it mean to do this and be humble? And then she gave me something to aim at. Like, I was
She's
like,
so awesome.
oh, that's what this looks like.
That's huge.
Like, you just be. And so I wrote about that in my book. I mean, that was for her, it would be a blip. She probably doesn't remember. But for me, it was, oh, that's how you sustain this.
is by actually just, like you said, getting rid of that representative more
Kind
and
of.
just being.
Or just live your life in a way it wouldn't be embarrassing for people to know about it.
That's so sweet to hear. Now I want her on the
jeez.
podcast so bad.
Oh my gosh. Have you met her? Charlie.
No.
Oh.
She's like one of the few that has just, I've never been able to
She's
cross
just
paths with.
so.
She seems to have a calming presence.
Oh my gosh.
Which I don't
You're
know if you
just
can
like,
tell. I do not. So I would really
Oh,
love
I don't say that about. I would never say that
I
about
would
you.
not agree with that, Joy.
Thank you.
Never. I would never say
He's
that about
counseling
you.
me right now. Okay, what current Christian song do you wish that you had written or gotten to
dear.
perform?
Oh, man.
You just saw
Oh my
Seth.
gosh.
Well, there is one song that the first time I heard it, I was envious. It's called is it called 1,000 billion? Wait,
What are you talking about?
100 million. That the Hillsong song,
Oh, 10,000. No.
I know what you're talking about. 100,000 times.
Yeah,
Is that what
that's
you're
it.
thinking of?
So
So
Will
will I.
will
Yes,
I.
it is like the best song ever written, in my
I-
opinion.
I just love it. I actually
We just saw him.
emceed a festival this summer. We were the MCs, and we would play like some FFH songs in between acts. And the guy that wrote that played
What's
the
his name?
festival.
What's his name? Somebody knows.
Like something Matthew something.
William something.
Is that
something.
from Elevation? Or no? Oh, it is Hillsong.
But I love
Gosh.
that song. I mean,
He is.
that
Yeah, he's amazing.
he said something in a new way that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
It's scripture, but just totally different.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
I like a lot of Christian music. I mean, I think that the songs are great. I do think that it's unfortunately the worship song movement has kind of taken over, and there's not a lot of artist songs as much anymore. That's kind of a bummer.
It's sort of a weird. That's why I think that the time we were in was so golden, because it was the beginning. Then that's when the worship kind of took over, which I love worship music, but I feel like it's a totally different animal.
It is.
It is.
I mean, we would
yeah.
play shows and we would have some worship time in our show,
Yes.
but it was a show. You know, it was fun.
You still
and
got
it was
to
a
really be an
concert.
artist as opposed to this way of a
Yes.
worship leader.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's totally different.
And when you're playing artist songs, you kind of go, okay, in a weird way, like dig me. Here's the song.
I need to entertain.
Yeah, it's entertaining. It's an
Worship
entertainment.
songs are a different kind of
Yeah, it's not that.
vibe.
Okay, funny thing about a song. City on a Hill.
Oh, geez.
What is that song? What's
You talking about God of Wonders?
God of Wonders was written for him to sing.
And you didn't do it?
That's
He
on
heard
God
the
of
demo
Wonders
and said,
beyond our
I don't hear it.
galaxy.
I don't think it's a hit.
And you said, I think that's gross.
I don't think it's a hit.
I just was
You
like,
are holy.
Yeah.
That could have been you,
passed
Jeremy.
on.
That was supposed to be him. and
Jeremy,
not Matt
that could have
Powell.
bought your kids college tuition. I'm
Amen.
really sad for you.
passed on God of Wonders.
That's
Neither
a
of our
tough
kids
one.
wanna go
But I mean, it was meant for those people. I'm not talking to them on the podcast, though. I'm just saying that. Okay. I'm sure they're great.
There's more
Okay.
stories about Mac Powell, but we won't share them now.
Wow. Favorite music video you ever shot and why?
Did we do a lot? We didn't do a lot of music videos.
Yeah,
Ready
listen.
to Fly in New York was my favorite.
Ready to Fly was fun.
I've gotta be free and ready to fly.
I was 8 weeks pregnant, though, horribly sick.
You would not know.
I was barely pregnant. And I was,
Oh, 8 weeks. Sorry.
yeah,
My
I was
brain,
barely
eight.
pregnant, but I was so nauseous. And it was with my first. And so I
really
didn't know
fun.
what was going on. It
That
was
did
really
look
fun,
like,
but it
that's
was
where you're walking through the streets, right? You're
Yeah.
catching each other's eyes.
so cold.
Really? You hit it so well. Okay, last one. Well, what is your favorite song to perform? We didn't cover it. Your absolute favorite
I love
to sing
One
in
of
front of
These
people.
Days.
Same.
One of these days I'll see the hand that took the nails for me. One of these days I'll hold the key to the mansion built for me.
Still,
One of these
You
days,
Found
also
Me is-
Lord Move is fun.
You Found Me is my
is
favorite
fun.
FFH song. But
Ready to Fly.
yeah.
They're all fun.
Oh, yeah.
Look, she probably feels the same. I like playing music for people.
It's so fun.
I mean, we still go out and play, and they don't want, people who have us come, they don't want us to play any new songs.
True.
And so I still love it.
I do want to know, do your kids think that you're cool?
no. I mean, if we jokingly
unison?
try to put one of our songs on, they're like, oh my gosh, turn it. This is horrible. Ah.
Guys, what do we do about this? Every artist that I talk to, and I'm fangirling over them, their kids think they're just like a cream cheese sandwich. And I just think you guys are fantastic.
I think a cream cheese sandwich would be pretty good.
That's probably the problem, is that we
That's probably a pretty good thing to eat. I'm not sure that's a good example. I'm thinking,
That's all I had, Jennifer.
I don't like that because I like the idea.
Like,
of
that
a
sounds
cream cheese.
amazing.
It
Okay.
does sound good.
So I love hearing about the season of FFH, but so many people want to know what happened post when we were a part of your lives up close. So you guys moved to Africa. Tell me about that and the years there. And then I want to talk about your health diagnosis and all
Yeah.
this stuff that's happened. So tell us about Africa.
So we were all pretty fried. We were
bet.
playing a lot of music. Brian, so we had Hutch. Hutch was out on the road with us. Brian and Allison had Maddie.
And Ellie at this
And then had Ellie. And we were all kind of tired, and Mike was writing songs for other people, and it was just kind of a little bit scattered. And we all went to counseling. So we had a session together, all four of us. And we had been invited to go to Africa, and the counselor was like, hey guys, what if this just went away for a minute and you took a break? And we all kind of felt like that would be a relief. And so we moved to South Africa, and then when we moved back in 2007, I got sick. And so I was diagnosed with MS and then had 2 years of chemo, which was like this experimental treatment. It sounds worse than it was. But
It's easy to say now.
that weird 2 year period, everybody had to kind of just figure out the rest of their life.
You're like, wait, so they thought this is a break and then we'll come back and restart.
Yeah.
And due to your health, it just wasn't
We
possible.
had 75 show offers when we got back from Africa.
What?
Yeah.
And Brian was like, hey, what
And
do
they
you,
were good.
What do you want to do about these? I
And
was
you
like,
just couldn't
I was
physically,
like,
I'm
man,
sure.
I don't know how
I was
would
pregnant
say yes.
when we
Holy
came back.
cow.
To make a long story short, what looked like it could be a 6-month sort of hiatus turned into about 2.5 years. And really what happened was the church we were going to, Fellowship Bible, said, would you guys, Nathan and Christy Knuckles had left to move to Atlanta with Louis Giglio. And they said, would you and Jennifer want to lead worship? And so that was kind of our gentle kind of way back into it. And then we did start going out and doing FFH stuff. It was different. We had our own, we called it a bus, it was just a gigantic motorhome. and the rest of the band would fly in and we would
Wow.
drive to the shows.
So you still made it work for a while.
It did work and it was a little fun, but our kids, we wanted
They
them
were little.
wanted them to have sort of a normal life. We got this invitation to move to California. And so,
You jumped so many things.
well,
that happened.
how much can we talk about?
I mean, there's so many things that happened.
So you worked at the church for a while, then you went to California. How'd
Mm-hmm.
you come back here?
Well, we were only going to stay there for 3 years. It was a 3-year commitment. And that also came with the opportunity for me to get pretty intense training to do this like trauma work that I'm doing now. And so after 3 years, we told them, we said, hey, we've been here 3 years. It's been great. Time for Diapers
to
to
go
move
back.
on. And they said, well, what if you didn't? What if you stayed here? What if they ended up hiring Jennifer to kind of redo the church? And what if we made it work? And we're like, well, we'll see what another year is like. We ended up staying 8 years.
Whoa, a
great.
lot longer than you planned. You've done so much. Tell me what you're up to now that you're excited about, because there's still ways that people can hang out with you. You've got
Yes.
a podcast. Tell me some of the other things.
Okay, the podcast is called The Gospel According to Jeremy. I wrote a book about, my family heritage is Pennsylvania Dutch Amish.
What?
So I
I'm
wrote-
Yeah.
sorry, with the horses?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, horse and
Love
buggy,
the
whole
Pennsylvania
thing.
Dutch. My mom's slightly obsessed. She has
Yes.
little figurines
You're
in the house. My
kidding.
parents live not far, just over the border into Maryland, and they love. So that's what your parents are.
Well, his grandparents were
My
Amish,
grandparents
Okay.
were.
They
And
left.
So
and were
I wrote-
shunned in the whole thing.
I got to read the whole book. Is
Like
this all in there?
he still has a lot of Amish relatives. Yeah,
What's the name of the book?
Liver and onions.
Do you like to eat that? Is
No.
that a necessity?
no, it was an Amish thing though. His Amish grandparents.
So
Did they make furniture?
it's
No, they didn't.
I probably
didn't.
shouldn't ask that. That's probably rude.
Some of them do. Oh gosh.
My family is all up in there, and they love
Oh,
to buy
that's so
furniture from the
funny.
Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah. So the book is kind of like it goes from how did these two Pennsylvania Dutch Amish people, how did I end up traveling the world? And I write about all these experiences I had I write about a lot of artists and also kind of my experience of reimagining God in my 30s and 40s. And, but a lot of it starts with my grandparents. I mean,
Amazing.
they were awesome.
Well, your story is also his mom was very young when she had him.
Yeah.
I mean, she was in high school,
Oh my goodness.
and so
So-
it's really.
My grandparents were 42 when I was born. And so when
Yeah. Can you imagine?
So I wrote
Holy
this
moly.
book about my life that most people don't know about. I mean, we would get opportunities to do stuff, and I would call my papa. I got to go fly in an F-16, and I brought my grandpa with me to watch.
Cool.
And he told me, he's like, Jeremy, I stood on the runway and wept. He said, because I have an 8th grade Amish education, and you just took off in an F-16. Like,
To see the generations
Yeah.
come further.
but then I also get into you would find them funny.
He's
Use
a
a
great
business
writer.
stories.
They're really
Okay, we
fun. It's a
have to-
funny story. It's a funny book.
I don't have I have a really great experience with Christian music, but there are a couple of people that I write about.
Please tell
a
us about
dinner.
Mark Schultz, because he's going to be on the podcast.
Mark is great, but I wrote about Mark in my book.
I heard that you hated him.
At first
He hated
I
him.
did. I mean, I have a couple.
He's my son. You can't hate that. You
I
can't
know.
hate that.
Well, like the redeeming part is we became really close friends. But I write about Paul Coleman and my experience with him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
some of
What
the-
was his group called?
The Coleman Trio?
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul Coleman Trio.
But I mean,
That's an interesting
having
story.
been around for 30 years, I mean, I know everybody. And I've kind of got an everybody story. So
Now I
thought,
want to
well,
read
if
it.
people
It's
like
fun. It's a fun book. Yeah.
So one thing that as we wrap up, I ask everybody is, as you look back, it's been fun to kind of go back in time. What has been the most fulfilling thing about your career?
Oh.
And then what would you tell your biggest fan who's listening to this podcast?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I mean,
She needs to
mine's-
think.
Mine's going to sound so cliche,
That's okay.
but actually, when we started to pull away a little bit and move to California, that's when I actually started to appreciate it. Like, I'm glad we got to do this stuff we got to do. Like, I don't think so one thing you told me to say this on the podcast is, so my organization is called Artist Care, and the website is artistcaretn.com. And I have a friend in California that might start the Artist Care California. And I'm hoping that there will be these Artist Care groups that pop up. And a lot of people have moved to Franklin and want to do this kind of artist entertainment, but they've never been an artist.
That just needs so much help, I'm sure.
And I go, how are you going to do this when you don't know anything about this world that these people are living in? And so artistcaretn.com, but that probably has been the most fulfilling. I started doing this work with 10 young artists in 2010. And I was with those guys for 175 straight weeks. And those guys have since made their way in the industry, names that you would know. And my kid works for them now.
Oh,
so cool. That is by far the most fulfilling. Seth Schleter's manager was one of those guys.
Because you know they're healthy because you've worked
Smith.
with them.
Well, plus they're just part of our family.
They slept on our couch.
Yeah, like they're.
I like John Smith, the producer, that I had to get his wife out of my bed.
Yeah,
because she would hang out with Jennifer and they would watch TV in bed.
And you're like, I need to go to sleep, y'all.
And he was out on tour with One Sonic Society. And I'd be like, okay, Anna, I know you don't want to go home. Should I just sleep on the couch? And she'd be like, yeah, Jeremy, you sleep on the couch.
You guys are really family with these people.
Oh, yeah, they're
that
really
is wild.
Yeah.
So I'm sure seeing it
She used
come
to call
full
me
circle.
Mama.
Well, Jason Ingram and Cully started a book club with it was Bebo Norman and his wife.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Paul Mabry and his wife, and a couple of other artists. And so that was kind of at the time when I was starting to go, okay, maybe it's time to graduate out of being the artist and just
like mentor the others.
Well, and I do think I wanted to find sort of a graceful way of doing that. I'm terrified of being the one that's still doing it, and people are going, what is he?
You're too old.
Yeah, like I don't.
Why are you trying to hang on to this?
Yeah, that I do. I'm a little bit, and I think my kids will let me know when that.
I think they've already let you know that.
I'm going to be hanging onto this microphone until I'm decrepit.
Well, you can.
That's right, because I'm talking now.
You can, but
thank you, guys.
The touring thing is a young person's.
Yeah, it is a young person's game. It's exhausting and wild.
It's exhausting.
But
I said that to Chris Tomlin. I saw him today. I'm like,
I don't know how he's still doing it.
How are you doing it? Because he has little kids. I was like,
but I'm glad you guys toured when you did.
He's like, he goes, man, touring is a young person's game. I'm like, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're doing it.
But I'm thankful that you guys went on the road, that you did the shows, because I was one of those kids like sitting there watching you guys, and I was so impacted. So I just want to say thank you for being on the podcast, and thank you for your years of serving the Lord and like going hard through music, because it's impacted us.
Well, thank you for having us, because we don't feel that old.
We
You're
are
not.
But the music scene has like once it turns over, it turns over. And I mean, people will ask me about our career, and I'll say things.
She's trying to end it.
I'll say things like, "Oh, you're trying to wrap up."
She's trying to wrap.
I'm bringing my book.
Please.
I'll drop it off,
and there'll be a link in the show notes for the book.
and I'll drop it off for. I'm selling 5s of them, 10s of books. I'm selling. They're just flying off my actual shelf.
I have 20 I could bring.
Where do you get this book? My house. That's
Come on over.
Send it to you.